Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking today about the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation. And what I'm going to do is I am going to help you follow along with these weaknesses by using this hand method. But before I do that, let's talk about what the Articles of Confederation actually were. The Articles of Confederation were the first governing document of the United States of America. And it's important to know their goals. So the goals of the Articles of Confederation were to limit the power of the national government. What I mean by that is, think about it. You have these people who just fought a war against Great Britain, where there was an absolute monarchy, and there was a king that made all of the decisions for these colonists. The king decided on taxes, he decided on what rights they were allowed to have, and so these people were very afraid of a really strong, powerful national government. So what were the Articles of Confederation? They were the first governing document of the United States of America. And what were the goals of the Articles of Confederation? To limit the power of the national government. Okay, so let's get into these weaknesses. First of all, let's talk about our pinky finger. Your pinky finger is your weakest finger, right? And so what you need to write in here is that the Articles of Confederation made a very weak national government, okay? The national government only had 4 powers. It could only do 4 things. And those included declaring war, making treaties with other countries, settling fights between states, and directing the military. That is all that the national government could do. So, if the national government doesn't have the power, who does? State governments. Okay? So, here it is very important for you to know that we have a weak national government with only 4 powers, and who has the power instead of that government? The states. Let's move on to our ring finger. When you think about your ring finger, hopefully you think about rings, right? Very important, expensive, nice things that you put on your ring finger. And on our ring finger, you can see I drew a ring, and I drew money signs around it, right? To help me think. Ring finger has to do with money. But here's the deal. The United States did not have any money. The United States had no money. And this is because the U.S. did not have the power to tax its citizens or trade. Okay? That is how governments make money. They tax their citizens and they put tariffs on trade. Now, since the U.S. government couldn't do either of those things, there was no money to be had. All right, our middle finger. Uh-oh. You can see at the top I drew a little guy. Don't give me the finger, right? That's an insult. It's a bad thing. And so let's talk about how the colonists were feeling in the United States at this time. So because the American Revolution was over, the United States had spent lots and lots of money on winning that war, and so we see a really bad economy in the U.S. and very high unemployment rates, okay? So bad economy and high unemployment. And so this leads us to an event called Shays' Rebellion. What Shays' Rebellion was Daniel Shays was a veteran of the American Revolutionary War, and he wanted paid for his service in that war, along with lots of other veterans who had still not been paid. And remember, it's because here on our ring finger we talked about there's no money in the government, right? So they could not pay these veterans, and they could not help the bad economy or the high unemployment, right? So anyway, Daniel Shays an American Revolutionary War vet. He has not gotten paid for his service in the American Revolutionary War, and him, and along with 4,000 other people living in Massachusetts, start a riot at the Massachusetts government building. And here's why. It's because they want their money, they're tired of this bad economy, and they're tired of this high unemployment. So that brings us to, let me get that off the screen, folks. That brings us to our pointer finger, right? You're usually using your pointer finger when you're saying number 1, right? This is number 1. And so I've put a big number 1 up here at the top, but this number 1 isn't a good thing because there's only one branch of government in the United States under the Articles of Confederation, and that is the legislative branch. You can see legislative branch here. And remember, the legislative branch is the branch of government that makes laws, okay? And so here are some problems with that. There is no balance of power, right? Remember, old Montesquieu from the Enlightenment tells us that there should be 3 branches of government to help balance out the power of that national government. So what we're missing out on in the Articles of Confederation is an executive branch, which means we don't have a president, and a judicial branch, so there are no court systems. Okay, so here at the very end, let's talk about just the thumb. So let me change this so you can just see the thumb here, you don't get confused. Okay, so the thumb is a thumbs down. This is a problem, okay? And this is because it is impossible to pass and change laws under the Articles of Confederation. Here's why. It takes a 2/3 majority, which is 9 out of 13 states, to pass laws, okay? So think about if you have 13 people in a room that all come from different places and have different ideas, and you try to get 9 of them to agree on something. That is very hard. So we don't see a lot of laws being passed under the Articles of Confederation. And if you want to amend or change the Articles of Confederation, it takes 13 out of 13 states